Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Quantum Revenue Expansion, where we talk about turning your annual revenue into your monthly revenue. I'm super excited because we have an amazing guest joining us today. She's back, Catherine O'Connor, all the way across many, many miles on the other side of the planet. Catherine, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ursula. I'm well.
I'm so glad to see you. I'm glad to have you back. Today, we're going to talk about
Yeah.
how to make authenticity your unique key to prosperity. And I know that Catherine has some real gems to share with us. So I'm excited to dig into those. Before I reintroduce you to Catherine, if you haven't heard about her before, just a little bit of housekeeping. If you haven't yet, and I want to make sure I get all the things. If you haven't yet, download our freebie, the Belief Zone Masterclass. And while it's zero cost to you, it has tons of value and could really make an impact on your business because it's all about how to activate a new belief zone to 2x, 3x, or 10x your revenue this year. And inside of the masterclass, we do three things. One, we clarify your revenue and professional goals. Two, identify and release the number one limiting belief or block that you have to actually reaching those goals. So we really dig in, figure out what it is, and we use a hack to let go of that limiting belief and release it so you can move forward. And then we talk about how to collapse time and create a plan to reach your goals even faster. And that happens, it's digital. You can watch at your leisure. It's a 3-part course. And of course, you get the course content, the training videos. You also get the Belief Zone Masterclass workbook. And you get 2 books. You get a digital copy of my best-selling book, One Great Goal, and The Belief Zone. So it's all in there. The link's in the show notes. So if you haven't grabbed it yet, grab it, take a time to listen, do the work, and see what shows up for you. Now, today, as we dig into how to make authenticity your unique key and prosperity with Catherine, let me tell you a little bit about her. Catherine is a divine scribe initiated into the lineage of Thoth. She is the founder of Divine Temple, a sacred space enabling you to access your truth and divinity in a deeply nourishing, committed, and transformative container. Catherine also has a postgraduate diploma in child mental health, certification in quantum light, training in Arcturian healing, aromatherapy, psychodrama, and so much more. Catherine loves the ocean, mountains, and forests. She has 3 grown children and continues to enjoy spending time in the presence of youth. And she's bringing that beautiful childlike energy and glow with her today. So, Catherine, we've had you on the show before, so welcome back. So for those of you who don't know her story, you can definitely go back and listen to a former interview we did. But just to give people a little more information, Catherine, what do you want them to know about your journey? Just like the short story, like how did you get here? What has brought you to this beautiful moment?
Uh, ooh, um, the short story is, I think the short story was a question when I was very small, where I wondered why I was different from everyone else. And I think that led me on a kind of path of searching out every consciousness I could lay my hands on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and eventually, and a few dark nights of the soul, absolutely. Particularly one in 2012, and then that, which is, many people had that at that time.
Yes.
And then, yeah, and then, find it and ending up here, kind of integrating all the kind of consciousness and modality or kind of exploration that I've done through my life. It's kind of all integrated into what I do now.
Yeah. So
That's
tell
how
us a
I
little bit about
ended
what
up
you do
here.
now. Like how do you like who is a client that would show up in your world? Like what would they be struggling with, for example, or dealing with? And how do you help them?
Uh, so there's a variety of places that clients might be struggling with. I think the fundamental piece is that they feel either that they don't quite belong on the Earth star, or they have a sense of feeling that there is something more that they can be doing, and that it's not happening, and they don't understand it. There may be a sense of feeling frustrated. There may be senses of feeling kind of lost, and the kind of common experiences of feeling angry or sad or depressed. And yeah, and also, but primarily, I think it's just that they have the sense that there's more, and they don't quite know what that more is, and they're wanting to find out what that is. It's a little bit like the question I had, from early childhood. Why am I here? Why am I different? How do I contribute? How do I kind of make this place a better world? All of those things might be running through their mind.
Yeah.
And the way, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So the way that I can support them, or the work supports them to step more fully into who they are and really contribute and have their life resonate in a way with who it is that who they truly are, is through lots of different access points. So one access point is through kind of the codes of visibility, so enabling themselves to be more comfortable with being visible with themselves and who they are. And then from there, opening the gates on, okay, now I can create the life I want, or now I know the things that are really right for me. And a lot of that is working with divine energy. So it's opening them up to, many people have already opened up to the divine, but it's opening them up to the divine in a way that's very essentially about who they are. So they're accessing their divine energies, or their galactic cosmic self, or their unique human kind of self, and it's grounding all that into the kind of embodied experience on Earth. So it's not just accessing higher planes, it's actually incarnating it into this, so then it can play out in the life, which is the piece I really love. So sometimes it might be very more like a talking therapy, like a lot of kind of the psychotherapy that I've experienced comes in, or it may be working very much in the higher planes, and it's very guided. So I'm working with guides 100% of the time. So I have my own team of guides that come through, and I might actually channel. So I'll bring them into my body and let them speak what needs to be spoken. And again, there's a lot of frequency and energy that comes through with that really is very transformative.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I could keep speaking, but that's the essential way that it shifts things.
Well, that's a great way to explain it. And I think it helps everyone, start to understand what you do and how the work you do. And I'm guessing that a lot of our listeners already have some sense of that, or they wouldn't be listening to this episode right now. You mentioned 2012, dark night of the soul. I remember 2012. Like, I think for so many of us, it was a very interesting time of growth and transformation. And I don't know about you, or if this is the read you have on it, but since 2012, it's felt a little bit like a bullet train. Like time has moved very quickly. Time feels like, for me, it feels like it has sped up. And it has sped up in a way where if I was going to pull out a list of all the ways I would be forced to grow, I would check those boxes. It's like, here's the checklist of all the ways that if you wanted to grow, you could have these experiences. And it's like, okay. And I think, wow, I don't know that I would consciously have chosen those experiences. And yet I can say, in this moment, having experienced, things that I might not have wanted to experience, like consciously, tremendous growth has happened and has allowed me to become more and more, I would say, of my authentic self. But it's like things are changing so fast. So, I mean, just being able to share some of those experiences for me, Catherine, I haven't been able to catch up completely to that. Like, I'm still integrating a lot of it so that I can speak about it, I would say, in the upcoming year or so. Today, that's what we're talking about, right? How to make authenticity your unique key to prosperity. What does it mean when you talk about being authentic and you're working with your clients to help them with that? And it's kind of like the visibility codes, I think, that you were talking about. But how do you help them become more authentic? What does that mean?
I think it's been real. There's a very beautiful story that it's a child's story called The Velveteen Rabbit. And it's really what you're talking about. Yeah. So when all the fur is rubbed off, then he becomes real, and that's the beauty. That's the treasure.
I
So
cried so hard whenever I read that book. I just have.
yeah, I do too. I still cry. Um, so it's working with that, really. It's working with the truth, the reality of what is in front and what is the truth within. And um, that truth is always inside. Like, it's never not there. It's really accessing it. And sometimes it's covered. So sometimes, it's very traditional clearing, where we kind of, and what you talk about with the belief zone is like clearing the beliefs, and clearing the things that are covering the truth. And then there's an amplification of that, because sometimes it's not just covered, it's closed in, it's closed down on itself.
Mhm.
And it's opening that. And that's where the frequency and the energy comes in really useful, is very, very useful to open that up. I mean, there are so many people that talk about this in so many beautiful ways. But there's a beautiful key that I love that comes from someone else, is like going back to childhood and remembering what it was that really sparked you in childhood. What was it that really ignited your fire and really interested you, for probably for absolutely no known reason, just out of the blue. And that is like another kernel, it's another seed of who it is that you truly are, your authentic self. Um, yeah. I mean, there are other aspects to it too. There's what I call alignment. So we have a central axis that runs through. We also have horizontal. But the central axis connects us. When that is in line, it's so much easier to uncover that truth, to feel it. And I think a lot of it is just like, it's like an aha moment. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
that's what's important to me. This is where I'm going. Um, yeah, and so really, I guess what we're doing together when I'm working with someone is we're just finding that slowly, either through just conversation, through energy work, through listening, through intuition, through listening to guides and what they're bringing through. So it's yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you just know it. You just feel it inside. I mean, you feel it inside, really.
Yeah, you just mentioned something really powerful. So, going back to childhood, and I hadn't thought about this in a minute. I wrote about it. I wrote about it in one of my books. I can't remember which one, of seeing an angel when I was maybe 5 or 6. And to this day, so I was going through it was a very interesting time. My parents had separated. And so like kind of traumatic in the childhood space. And I woke up from a dream and I looked up and there was an angel sitting on like the top of my curtains. And I woke up, like I saw it, and I kind of went back to sleep, and then I peek out and like I could feel the presence of this angel. And I told my mom about it the next day. That's the only way I know like that memory was real, is I told her about it. She still remembers to this day me being like, I saw an angel last night. And honestly, like I've been obsessed with angels my whole life, and them having conversations with us and angels and guides and all the things. And, I think for so long I tried to shut that off, like being in the corporate world and being in this, you know, the society as we are, where you're not supposed to see angels or you're not supposed to do this. But historically, like if we look at, the different religions of the different times, the angels were showing up all the time and it was okay for them to talk to him. And then all of a sudden it stopped being okay. And I find that kind of interesting. So thank you for reminding me of that which has been there for a long time, and that desire into seeing how it's come out more over the years. So that's what you do, right? You activate these things, these pieces in people so that they can remember. You talked, so using the word activation, you mentioned that like you have the codes that you do with people, and then there's activations. And for those who don't know what that is, like, what do you mean by that? What is an activation and how does that help people? And where does it come from?
Oh, yeah, it's such a beautiful question. Okay, so it's an extraordinarily important question. It's a question I sit with, like, what is it that I'm actually doing? Like, why is this having an impact? Um, so we can think of it, but like a lightning bolt. So my experience of an activation, and I think it's a very new, it's a new it's almost like a new tool. It's something very new.
Yeah.
So many of us are really, I think, still on that learning curve of discovering, like, what is it really? So my experience of it is it's like a divine lightning bolt or strike of lightning. And what it does is it penetrates to the layer or the level that is aligned for an individual. So it can penetrate into the mind and just open up the mind and then start that process of, so a lot of how we operate is run on an unconscious, on what we don't really know about ourselves. And what an activation can do is it can bring in enough energy to unlock that which is unconscious, and unlock it enough that we get to either know it, or we can very quickly process it, because often what's happened is that what's unconscious is related to past experiences, either in, I'll just bring in past lives or present lives, that we haven't actually processed. So when we process an experience, we go through all the feelings, we maybe even have thoughts about the feelings, and we can kind of release them and recognize that they may be not 100% accurate. There's a whole lot of unpacking that happens through an experience. When an experience is overwhelming, that processing shuts down. And the information that would have been unlocked through that processing is stopped. And as well as that, the emotions get trapped. And that's kind of the process that creates that unconscious pieces in ourselves. And so what an activation does is it opens up that bandwidth. So it might open it up to clear it and to help you process it. It might open it up to help you understand it and see it better. And then at the deepest level, it can open up the DNA so that the DNA can recalibrate to something that's more aligned to the truth of who you are, which is essentially a divine being. It is essentially a soul. That's essentially who you are. You are perfect. It's the re-remembering of it. And so at the deepest level, what an activation can do is it can unlock the DNA so that it refigures into something that is more aligned with the truth of who you are. And in that process, then there can be a huge release. And there also can be a huge download. So when people talk about downloading, really what we're accessing higher consciousness. And higher consciousness is with us all the time. So when we have that kind of lightning moment, and even if you have like an aha moment, you're essentially downloading, you're essentially receiving information that's of a higher consciousness or a higher frequency, and it's there to support you in your life. And so also what an activation can do is it can bring in that information from the higher planes. And then the other piece is that we are multidimensional. So there are many, many places and spaces in which we are residing, or pieces of ourselves that we don't necessarily know, because we may have been conditioned to more of a physical reality and experiencing life through the five senses and the feelings and the mind. And so again, what an activation can do, it can open you up to those other realms that you are actually residing in, that you are much more expansive than you might realize. So that's my experience of an activation. What it actually is a bundle of frequency. Okay.
It's the best. I guess I've never asked any. I've heard of them, and you're right. It's a newer piece. I first heard about activations through our mutual friend Danielle Rama Hoffman. Shout out to Danielle and her amazing presence in our lives, and then had some of those experiences, which have been really phenomenal, and just understanding them. So I'm curious, like either in your own experience or an experience with a client. So someone who's listening and they're like, well, how does it really open up the DNA, and what does it do? So what results have you seen from someone or from yourself having an activation? For those who are like, I'd love to get this. I'd love for this to be real. It just seems so powerful. Like, is this even possible? Like, what has been the end result for you or for someone else that you worked with, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, no, I don't mind sharing. So not everything I do is activation. Some of it is like pure frequency coming through.
Mm.
The pure frequency, uh, so what so with all of that type of work, what I've seen is people become more confident in who they are.
Mm.
So more relaxed with who they are, and they're more confident, and out of that confidence, able to um, uh, kind of, how do I put it? Step out into the platform that they're in. So for a light worker, it might be stepping out and putting out, um, inviting people in to work with them in a way where they feel really authentic and they feel really confident and they feel good in that space. Yeah,
Mhm.
because for many light workers, there can be the sense of like, am I doing anything, or is this really working? Am I good? All of that can come up because it's so new.
Yeah.
Um, so I've seen that. I've seen someone really go from being really shy about expressing themselves to really putting themselves out there. In fact, I've seen that a lot. Um, and that's through the working with the visibility piece.
Got
I've seen pain reduce like in 10 minutes, like someone like a couple of like more, like a number of clients saying, wow, I've never felt so little pain, physical pain,
Mm.
um, for so long.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. What else I'm just, yeah. So there's individuals feeling more comfortable about who they are. Oh, so manifestation. I've seen huge manifestations. So one individual that I've worked with for a while now, like manifested her dream home,
Mm.
manifested clients. Yeah, there's a huge, huge sense of like once we find those keys to who we truly are, just being able to create
Yeah.
what it is, like to bring in what we want and to really know it. And someone yeah, and then and individuals really going, oh, actually I found my power, like I really know who I am now. I feel very empowered and very ready to take, to to be me and do me.
Got it. So,
um
so kind of tying back to what you said, they become their more authentic self. They're confident. They're able to manifest what they desire and really stand in their full power. Uh, I don't even know where the time has gone today. We've already like our time. I think we're already like 20 some minutes in. So, what is it that you like? There's so many things going on in the world right now, and you mentioned there's activations coming through. There's lots is transitioning, transforming. You're working with many clients and light workers to get their, coaches, consultants, and all the things, get their work out into the world, become more abundant. If there's any message that you have for people who are listening right now, just based on the experiences you're having, the experiences you're having with your clients, like what message would you want to share to encourage, to motivate, to support those who are listening?
I think self-love is the real key, because we can't really um come to know ourselves without loving all those pieces of ourselves, like all the aspects of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
um because once we really nourish ourselves and tend to ourselves, look after ourselves and truly love ourselves, um, that's a real key to bringing all of us in and really um, yeah, integrating all that we are. Um,
How do
yeah,
you do
so I
that?
would
Like
say,
for someone who's listening, like how do I learn? Is it like learning to love pieces of myself? Like what's your best advice for just to help people fall in love with themselves? Because for some that might feel like a real stretch.
yeah, yeah. Um, So there are like a few, like to love your body. One way to really, really nourish and love your body is to listen to what it really wants to be fed, like what it wants to eat and to drink,
Mm.
and to see if you can tune into that. And you don't have to be perfect. There's no, absolutely not, because otherwise you end up in this kind of like rigid thing.
Right.
Um, yeah. Nurture your body through body work, through massage, through massaging your own feet, through going for a walk in nature, through slowing down and just taking time that feels nourishing. Take time for a cup of tea, or a cup of coffee, whatever it is that, or a glass of soda water. Like just taking those moments where you can just stop and be with yourself.
Yeah.
And then listen to, again, like the feelings, find ways to nurture your feelings so that you have the space to feel, you have the space to be, to listen to yourself, and sometimes finding a guide that you can, that feels really resonant for you, to support you to come into that relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anything that really supports and nourishes you. Hot
I love it.
baths. Yeah.
I think that's a great place to start. I love massaging my feet, so I'm just going to put that out there. And my son's always like, "Mom, massage my feet." Like, I think that's for everybody. And it's, I mean, some of those, those who are into healing and Reiki and other things would say, yeah, that's a great place to be, right? Be reflexology, be on the feet. So as we're wrapping up, before we wrap up, at the end, I'll have you share more about how to work with you, Catherine. Your beautiful presence, let me say this, has been, you blessed us at the CEO table, like just coming in and how you hold space, and just, watching you, just all the ways that you've shown up and shined your light on others, and all the support. Is there anything you'd like to share about your experience in the CEO table, or hanging out with us, or what that's kind of meant for you?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, I love the CEO table. It's a really vibrant, nourishing, very energetic space. The container's really well held. It's really beautiful. I found that I've really flourished in it. I'm very sad that my time with it is coming to an end. But yeah, my business has really flourished, and I've learned lots. Like, I've learned so much about how to both kind of still be authentic and do what I do, but also grow it as a business. So I'm not a struggling artist. I've actually, I can actually grow something and be nourished by it at the same time, and still do what I love or what I'm good at.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been really,
Thank
really
you.
phenomenal.
We've loved having
That's
you.
okay.
And you have such a nourishing presence. Just the word nourishing is who you are. So for those who might be interested in working with you, I know you have some things. I believe you have a free gift, and then a way, maybe some other information about where to find you and how to work with you.
Yeah, so I have a free gift. So there uh the free gift shifts. So it'll be a meditation.
Perfect.
So there's yeah. So it'll be a meditation to bring you into a sense of who you truly are, and get some clarity on next steps on your road ahead.
Beautiful. And we'll have the link for that in the show notes. And for someone who's like, I want one of those activations, how can they learn more about working with you, or how can they reach out to you?
Okay, so my website, which is divinetemple.net, and if you hop onto the website, you can either email me directly. My email address is on there, so it's Catherine@divinetemple.net. There is a link to a complimentary chat, so you can also hop on and have a conversation with me, and we can talk through what it is that you are desiring, and where you're at and where you want to be, and find a way that's going to really work for you. There's a few small things that you can download and purchase. There are a couple of free gifts on there. There's 2 on the website at the moment, as well as the free meditation. So it's another way to experience the work. But I would say book a call. I'd say book a complimentary chat, or book a discovery call where we do one session together.
Beautiful.
So those are the 2
All of
best
that.
ways.
Yeah, thank you. We'll have all of that in the show notes. 3 free gifts. So definitely go to Catherine's website. It's in the show notes. Definitely grab the free meditation as well. Catherine, thank you for hanging out with us today and coming back on the show. We just wish you so many blessings as you continue on your journey. And thank you for joining us at the CEO table over the last couple of years. We're going to miss you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ursula. It's been a pleasure.